Hello and welcome to this video. Our downstairs bathroom does not have a bathtub. Actually, we don't have a bathtub in our house. So for our son, my wife has been using this green tub as a bathtub, and it works all right. The main thing that's annoying is you have to pick it up to dump it. And the shower there is like a walk-in shower, or you could roll a wheelchair into it. So there's no lip to stop the water from coming out into the rest of the bathroom. And so if we wanted to dump that bucket in the shower, it'll go right into the rest. You'd have to dump it really, really slowly. The shower comes with, the shower had like this strip of rubber or something that was meant to, that you could move, that was meant to kind of be a water stopper or whatever, but we don't have it there, and I don't know how well it works. Anyway, we want a bathtub there, and I don't want to take out what's existing because that's my least favorite part of a project. And I like the shower surround part just fine. So initially I thought I would cut it around at the height of a bathtub and then try to slide a bathtub up in there. Like the flange would go up underneath the existing shower surround. But as I thought about it and looked at tubs, we were talking about how we want a tub that's deep enough that you can kind of soak in, or deep enough so that like your shoulders or your knees don't poke out. It was just really hard to find something that I felt would fit well. And one challenging thing for me about just buying a tub for a specific space without being willing to do all the necessary stuff to make it fit, it's the size that it is, and your space is the size that your space is, and they might not be the same. They might be the same one dimension, they might not be the same the other dimension. And I came across that, ran into that problem when I put in a bathtub at our old place. But in that situation, I was putting a whole new shower surround in, so it didn't matter so much. Anyway, I learned about something called a Roman tub, and that's basically a tile bathtub. And I've done as much research as I can to try to do as good of a job as I can, but I'm not a professional, so that's my disclaimer if I'm doing something wrong. But yeah, so I don't know, instead of just explaining what I'm going to do, I think I'll just start doing it and maybe talk about it as I do it. So let's get started. I decided to make paper or cardboard templates of the more complex pieces for the basic wooden support. And for me, that just really makes the whole process so much better. In the past, I would try to just go straight to wood and then slowly move the wood into the position, but I find I do a better job if I start with paper or cardboard and then get it close, and then I have much less work with the final piece of wood to get it to the shape that it needs to be. So these pieces of wood need a little bit of edge off of them to fit in the shower, and yeah, so that's all about that. But the top pieces here, which I'm laying out, are I decided to make curved to fit the curved shape of the shower surround. And what worked well for me to shape it was, funnily enough, just a hand axe. I kind of tried this larger axe that I had restored in a previous video, but it was heavy and it was not very comfortable for me to use. So I got it pretty close, but I still needed to take a little bit off, and so I'm using this jack plane that my father-in-law gave me, which I really enjoy using, so I'm super grateful to have received that from him. And unfortunately I don't have like proper workbench, and the bench that I do have is like under my son's bedroom, and most of the time that I work on stuff is when he's napping, so it makes a lot of noise and I don't want to disturb his nap. So I have to make do with creative options outside. This is the other side of the tub, and I needed to shape it similarly, but it's subtly different. And I made a completely separate cardboard pattern for that. If you've never used a sharp hand axe safely, they can do really fine work if you're careful. I mean, you got to be careful and not get your finger in there and stuff. But here I'm trying to find the angle for the back rest, I guess, and again, I'm using 2 pieces of cardboard to find a pattern because I have no clue how to find the angle and length that this piece of wood needs to be without just trying it with cardboard. Thankfully, the idea came to me to make 2 pieces that would just be adjustable, and I could just tape it together, and it ended up working out really well. It's funny because at first I tried to just figure it out with the piece of wood, and then I was like, wait a minute, I forgot, I like using a cardboard pattern first. Anyway, I'm using a handsaw for these cuts because my circular saw is not very high quality, and I have trouble tuning it to make good clean cuts, and even then I don't make very clean cuts in general, but they're cleaner with a handsaw. That's kind of a theme that I found with this project is making good joints in wood is way harder than it seems like it should be. I never had like proper training. In school I took shop class, but the shop teacher was also the wrestling coach, and the little that I knew about shop or woodworking, I knew more than he did. So it was kind of sad, but he let me just kind of like have fun and make whatever I wanted to. So it worked out okay. I've watched a lot of videos and stuff, but it's not the same as having practical hands-on like advice when you're trying to make a cut, and somebody can be there and say, hey, you're doing this part wrong or whatever. So yeah, there's a YouTube channel, Worth the Effort Woodworking, which I think is really great for learning woodworking skills, at least the principle behind them. But the guy who does it, his name is Sean, can't remember his last name. Anyway, he says readily that his channel is little more than a fancy textbook, like a video textbook, because he can't do the back and forth that you really need for good teaching. And I actually agree with that principle. It would be cool. I think he would be a great teacher, and he used to teach woodworking, but doesn't anymore, although he does now over YouTube. See there, like, there's a pretty big gap on that one side, although I tried to cut it so there wouldn't be. And I'm often baffled. I'm like, I thought I measured it right. I thought I cut to the line. You know, I tried to either cut to the line, and I know this guy, Sean Graham, that's what his name is. he talks about, he demonstrates using a knife to get like a real fine line. I haven't resorted to that yet, but most of my projects don't require such a fine degree of accuracy. But I think I'll do it eventually. So with the back supports, the middle support's a little bit high compared to the other two. So I'm just planing it down and slowly working this stick that's fairly straight up and down to find where the high spots are. And this worked out pretty well too. I'm pretty grateful. It's fun too. I love using a hand plane. Any excuse to use one is always a good time for me. But you can basically just see the general design that I came up with to frame in the support for the tub. I think that it'll work pretty well. It's pretty sturdy. So this is going to end up just being the first part of the build, and I'll have to just request that you tune in for part 2 to see the rest of what happens. This will all get, some of it will get covered with plywood, and then it'll all get covered with cement board, and then it's sealed and then tiled over. So thanks for watching.